Hey everybody, it's Peter. This is my YouTube station called Or For Pete's Sake Stitch, where I talk about what I've been doing for my cross stitching hobby. So typically I record on the third Tuesday of each month. And so I recorded in April, did a month of stitching, but the only thing I worked on was gifts for a retreat that I did this past weekend. So I wasn't going to show my gifts before they were given, so I had nothing to show in May, which means I have a lot to show you today because once I finished the gifts, I stitched on quite a few things, and so it's really exciting. So the order of things today, we're going to start with the non-retreat stitching, and then we will move on to what I stitched as my table gifts, what I received from my table mates, and then move on to what we received from the guest designers, and then finally show you my haul. So, I should tell you, the retreat that I went to was the Country Samplers Summer Stitch Camp, and that is in Spring Green, Wisconsin. So let's get into some non-gift stitching. The first thing that I worked on after my gifts was from the Winds of Autumn by Blackbird Designs book, and the pattern that I stitched is called A Sister's Love. And so you can see that it's very few colors. There's only four. So just for celebration of the 250th, I decided to change mine to two shades of blue, one shade of red, and one shade of white. So the two blues are Classic Color Works, Blue Corn, and Gentle Arts Freedom. What I love about those two blues is that Blue Corn can go from a light blue to a medium blue, and then Freedom goes from a medium blue to a dark. So there's no really stark changes, but you can see that there is some variation in that blue. And then the red is, I think it's baked apple. If it's not, then I'll put it down below. And then the white is light khaki. So the light khaki can tend to have a brownish tan tinge to it, but I didn't want a very stark white. So that's why I chose a white that had a little bit of color in it. Now what's going to be a little hard to see on the screen is that you can possibly see it in the red, where all of that area has eyelets, and there were supposed to be a lot of eyelets in the entire piece. And so I didn't want to do all of those eyelets. And so like you can see up here in the crown, I changed the eyelets to Smyrna crosses. And over here in this motif, and also up here in this one, I changed the eyelet area to satin stitches. And I did those satin stitches on the angle, so that way they were meeting the stems. So that way it gave it more of a leaf appearance. So this is a piece that has a lot of specialty stitches on it. Oh, so this is Wabi Sabi, Sister's Love from Winds of Autumn, and it is stitched on Wabi Sabi tea set, which you can get from the Kitten Stitchers website, because that's her son, and using overdyed cotton floss. So that was my first finish after gifts. Then there was one thing that occurred since the last video is that Stitchy Linda and I had a birthday celebration um, the last Saturday. So I think it was like the 25th, 29th, yeah, 25th of April. And so I went to that birthday party, and I knew I couldn't stitch the gifts. So what I ended up doing was I had a work in progress from the Deck the Halls. And so for the entire month of April, Stitchy Linda and I had a hashtag, uh, what was it? Strawberries and cake. That's what it was. Hashtag strawberries and cake Sal. And so we would stitch strawberries, and then on the 25th we had cake at the shop. And so what I stitched was from Deck the Halls on that day. And this is called From Me to Thee. And so this is the fifth strawberry from the book that I've stitched. This is 36 count fox and rabbit up in the attic using over dyed cottons. Not all of the recommended, just because since these are so small, I'm not purchasing new floss. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing approximate colors to what is listed. So those were the two finishes that I've had since April. So I was getting ready to go to the retreat, and I thought that what I needed to do was have something small and have solid stitching. So, oh, there it goes. Anyways, in this book, the very last pattern that I have to do is called Christmas Visitor. And so you can see they finished it as a strawberry as well as a small framed piece. And so in order to finish all of these strawberries, I thought, well, what I need to do is get a start on that pelican, and then I could just do solid stitching at the retreat. And that did not happen. I did, well, so I did get it started. So here's the start of A Christmas Visitor. And this is Fiber on a Whim parchment on 36 count. And the way, I knew that I would be visiting, so I did an outline. Now, when I do an outline of solid stitching, I only do the bottom part of the stitch. And then when I do the fill-in, I'll do the top stitch, just so that way, if I'm using an overdyed, I will have that portion of the thread showing. And so that way there's not as much variation. If the outline and the interior have a different portion of the overdyed cotton, it also helps with maintaining tension. And so I can have the same tension if I'm doing the top stitch of the border. So that's A Christmas Visitor, started but not stitched on during the retreat. So yeah, so that's the first work in progress. The next work in progress that I worked on was the Modern Folk Embroidery Little Acorns. So it's I needed to get back to this. I'm just doing the stitch along. I'm not really trying to get, stay up to date with this stitch along, because every section has a certain month, and I'm falling behind, but I'm trying not to fall too far behind. So you can see since the last video, I had finished up to this first line of the poem, and so finished that, and then finished this tier, and started the second tier of words. Now it's hard to see in this light, but what I'm trying to achieve is a ombre effect. And so these first two rows are stitched in DMC 3051. And then these next two rows are stitched in 936. And then this row is the beginning of 935. I wanted each section to be equal or taller than the previous row. So these two are shorter than these two, which is going to be shorter than the next three tiers that will show up. Just because, just some color theory where your darker colors that are, well, you need to have your larger pieces at the bottom or else it just looks off balance. So I wanted the bottom ones to be a little bit thicker or even. So in order to achieve that number count, I had to switch, let's see, I had to switch this row with this row. And so now tiers 3 and 4 are going to be shorter than 5, 6, and 7. And then the new row 8 and the new tier 9 are going to be taller than the previous. So mine's going to be, is going to look a little bit different than everybody else's, just because I've switched those two tall parts of the chart. Now the really interesting thing is that I finished this top tier, and then I decided that I should read Jacob, who is the designer. I decided to read the directions. It was a very novel idea, and so found out that he purposefully designed this so that way there would be areas for folks to put in specialty stitches. And so in this tier you can see the little buds that are on the stems in each section. I've switched those to Algerian eyelets. So I did so many on the Sisters Love that I'm like, you know what? I stitch on a stand, so it's very easy for me to have one hand controlling the needle and then a second hand to control a I use a counting pen. I use a counting pen to make sure that the threads lay side by side. So I've got some Algerian eyelets in there just to give it a little bit of personality. So that's I forgot to say, I had a big thank you to an eagle eye viewer who noticed that let's see, it was right here. I was missing a stem from the bottom of the pot over to the leaf. So to that viewer, I forgot to write down your name. I'm sorry. And thank you for pointing that out to me, that I was missing that. So once you did, I'm like, of course I'm missing that. So yeah, so that's Little Acorn by Modern Folk Embroidery. The next work in progress is a new start. And so the story for this new start is that I was in the shop for the birthday cake in April. And while I was there eating my cake and stitching with the people who showed up or who joined us for the birthday, I was looking around and I'm like, you know what? I have wanted this Teresa Kogut Goodness and Mercy since it came out. And so I decided that as a birthday gift to myself, I would purchase this pattern. And so it's just a great little well, not little, it's a big sample. I have no reason to be starting another giant piece, but I like it. So I went ahead and bought the pattern. The Wednesday, I showed up a day early to the retreat because the retreat starts at 8 a.m. on Thursday. So Wednesday I got to the shop and I found a piece from Hometown Fibers. I found a piece that's called Branch. And so it's got a really dark grayish tan tint to it. So this is called Branches. And so I saw it in the linens, and I'm like, that would be really cool to do goodness and mercy on. And so I started a really small. I have a really small start. Now, I, I, I did the called for green that goes into these leaves and stem, and it was just ghosting too much. And so while I was at the retreat, I tore out the called for and stitched in a new color. And so I'm happier with it, but not super, super happy. So I may take that color out as well. I still love the linen. I mean, it's a gorgeous piece of linen, and I really want to stitch it on there. Largely because I'm going to what's on the cover is the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd. But I'm going to be changing that verse to a poem. So, and the poem is not as cheery as the 23rd Psalm. So I wanted it to be a bit darker. So I'm excited to watch this one grow. So that's I'd I'd stitched on this piece at the retreat as well as in our hotel room. The hotel room had the absolute worst lighting, and the lighting at the retreat was not great either. And so I decided that I needed to switch it up and do something else. So I also took Remember Me, and I stitched on Remember Me, and made quite a bit of progress on this just because it was light. It's a light colored linen, and so that makes it a lot easier to stitch in a darker place. And so this is Remember Me. I stitched Remember Me on XJU Designs Victorian Tea Party, and using the recommended floss colors, except for I changed Celadane, Weeks Dye Works Celadon to Scuppernong. And so at the retreat, I stitched the sepals at the bottom of this flower, the leaves, and then I came down to this flower. So that's how far I got to, so that's how far I got with that piece at the retreat. So just a quick glimpse into plans. I'm absolutely loving this stitch right now. And so moving forward, I'm going to be stitching on this one quite a bit, as well as on Little Acorns. So I want to make quite a bit of progress on those two pieces in the next month. So that's Remember Me. All right. So that's the end of all of the non gift stitching. And before I left for the retreat, I recorded a small video to show what I did for gifts at the retreat. So here's me from about 2 weeks ago. Each year, I make a needle book for the folks who sit at the table with me at the retreat. And so what I do is I select one of the three designers and then choose one of their designs and modify it for the cover of the needle book. And so this year, the pattern that I chose was Plum Street Samplers, Paulette Stewart, and I chose There Is Liberty. Just because it's got a lot of the classic Paulette Stewart items that we all love, a great wavy flag, Stitch Intense houses, grass with two different colors in it to create a design, and then of course you have to have her quilt stars. So this was the basis of this year's needlebook, and so here they are. So like I said, the flag, the grass. Um, yeah, so I'm really happy with them this year. So I always use Summer Stitch Camp as the title, just because that's the name of the retreat, and every year I do the P in a different color, and so you can see. So this is one needle book, and then a different one. Each needle book has the each needle book has the same title, flag, and grass, but it's got a different set of houses. So like if now they're not all completely different houses, because like let's say the first needle book has houses 1 through 4, and then the second one would have 5 through 10, and then the third one would have like let's say 3 through 8. So it is there each needle book are a little different. So there's the first three, and then the second three look like this. Ooh, that could have been bad. Yeah, so here's the next three. So yeah, so they're really fun. So I'm really happy with how they turned out this year. So these three needle books have a red background, and the first three have a blue background. And then on the inside, I changed the colors. So red background, blue pockets. And I always do it so that way there's a big pocket in the front um, for a corner gauge, and then the left side has three small pockets, so that way you can put in some tools like scissors and seam ripper. So that's this year's needle books. So um, yeah, so the original pattern, the grass is little pathways from one doorway to another, but I didn't have enough space in the sky for the quilt stars. So I changed the grass to be quilt stars. Every needle book has. I went through my stash and I pulled out every red, white, and blue that I have, just so that way every needle book has a different combination of tints, tones, and shades of red, white, and blue. So even though everybody's got the same title, flag, and grass color, everybody's got different houses. So yeah, so that's the needle books. So this is the let's see, this is the fourth year that I've gone to the Country Samplers Summer Stitch Camp, and Jeannie Horton is the owner of the shop, and always does an amazing job of welcoming everybody to Stitch Camp. And I've made a needle book every single year, but I've never made one for her. And so this year, I decided that I needed to make something special for her, because she always makes me feel welcomed and special. So she needed something special. So instead of a needle book, she is getting a needle roll. So you can see that I used the same house pattern and the same title and same flag. But since I had more space for the quilt stars, like the original pattern, I put the quilt stars in the sky this time. So and since I had free space, Just by chance, country sampler with two quilt stars on either side fit perfectly in the grass. So uh, a lot of the same elements as the needle books, just a little bit different, just because it fit. So you can see that it's a needle roll, and so it's got a bow that is connected or is wrapped around a button. And so when you open up, shouldn't be this. Oh, I tied it. That's why. Hold on, y'all. I tied this really good. Anyways, I'll come back. All right, so I've got that finally untied. So then what you do is you lift the top cover, and it's a trifold. So there's a piece of felt for putting your needles, and again, it's got three small pockets, and then down here on the bottom, this is one large pocket for storing threads or hoop or whatever. And so yeah, so this is the inside of the needle roll, um, as Jeannie's project. So, so this is uh, a piece of ribbon. I bought some fabric from them 2 years ago, and this ribbon was what tied all of the fabrics together. So I had a little piece that I just stitched here on the front. Really short on time. I had work stuff that I needed to get done. So instead of doing the hand stitching uh, for the needle pad and hand stitching this, I had to machine stitch it, and my binding had to be machine done as well. But the choices are not finishing the needle roll or getting fired because I didn't do work. So uh, I'll keep my job. So, anyways, so that's the inside, and then the back. Like I already showed you the top, but what I did was this is the outside. So you can see that it's a little American flag. Um, so it's gonna be fun to gift it to her. So that's Jeannie's needle roll. So now I'll go back to future me. That was the gift that I gave my table mates, and now I will show you the gifts that I received. Now, a lot of people came around the room and gave me other gifts, so I'm not going to take the time to show you everything. So I'm just going to show you the six things that, or the seven things that I received from the folks at my table. So the first thing that we received was a piece of perforated paper with a piece of felt attached to it, and some pins. And then it's the paper is glued to felt as well. So you get this really cool um, pin keep. I don't know what else you would call pin keep. So that's the first item. The same person gave us these little this little pin drum. And so what's really cool is that this is I think it's one, two, a 4-inch ribbon. And so you bought the ribbon on the spool with these stars and stripes. And so she attached a piece of felt to the bottom and the top in order to make this really cool drum. And then we also received, somebody gave us the stands to put our patterns on. And let's see, what else? We got little antique thimbles and book charms. I don't read a whole lot of books just because I'm always cross stitching. So bookmarks. We also got these really cool pouches, and inside the pouch is a notebook. It's just for notes. And on the front, they stitched little American flags. and glued that to the front of the notebook. So those were inside the pouch, and the pouch has some little Americana in 2026 charms. The next thing was, hold on, I gotta take it out. So Chris at my table, she found a stamp in an antique store. And so she took this stamp and put it on. She told me the material, but it's like a clay type material. So she stamped it on the clay and baked it. And she gave us this little piece of baked clay. So that was really cool to receive. From Anne, we received a little pack of little pack of fabric. And so each one of these is 10 or 12-inch square fabrics that we can use for finishing. And she also gave us a pair of scissors, just Americana scissors, in a scissors pouch that is Americana themed. So then the next thing that we received was a little stitch pouch. And in the stitch pouch, Chris gave us she gave us a free pattern. So you can see that's what it's going to look like. And she also gave us a little bit of thread, a thread keep, just for stitching the piece. We'll have to provide our own linen, but it's a small piece, so a little fragment of it will be fine. And then the last piece was a little piece of artwork on an easel for the 250th. So those were all of the gifts from my table mates that I received. So thanks to my table mates for those awesome gifts. So well, not just to them. Everybody who came up and told me that they enjoyed my videos and gave me gifts, or there were folks who gave out floss cards to everybody. Just thank you, everybody, for the gifts. Jeannie Horton always invites 3 designers to Summer Stitch Camp in order to give us a pattern, as well as lecture or teach us about different methods or how they design. And the emphasis on this year's class was just sort of how each designer grew up and how that impacts their stitching. So we had 3 designers: Kimberly Nugent from Samplers Not Forgotten, Teresa Vanette from Shakespeare's Peddler, and then on the last day we had Paulette Stewart from the Plum Street Samplers. And so the first day was Kimberly Nugent, and this is the pattern that she provided to us. Brave Hearts. So you can see that it comes with a large sampler, and then she also provided us the pattern for a pillow. And along with the pattern, she also provided some Weeks Dye Works linen, the recommended floss colors, as well as the backing for the pillow. And she's got some twill tape that she put on her pillow. It's going to be really hard to see on the cover, but there's a piece of twill tape that lays flat along the edges of the pillow, and then on top of the twill tape, she twisted some blue suede floss to give it a little bit more detail. So that's Samplers Not Forgotten, Brave Hearts. So it's a real sweet small sampler. Not that small, but compared to other projects, it's, for me, compared to everything that I have, it's a small project, but it's real sweet. That basket, Kimberly does some of the best floral baskets of anybody. So That was Thursday. And then on Friday, we came back from breakfast, and Teresa Vignette at Shakespeare's Peddler put all of our belongings, or all of the gifts, in this box. So, Summer Stitch Camp 2026, Spring Green, Wisconsin. And this is a picture of a bag, a quilted bag that she made. So, anyways, it came in a box, and that's a quick preview of the sampler that she gave us. So this is the sampler that we received. It's called Sweet Land of Liberty. And so this is from an antique sampler. She took all of the motifs and she rearranged them. And then she gave it a small border just on the sides. So it's a unique sampler in that it doesn't have a border on all four sides. So she designed this just so that way when you do it on 36 count, uh, 36 count, you can frame it in a 11 by 14 frame, which is a standard frame size. So she actually just bought the frame from some box store and spray paint. It was white and she spray painted it black. So it's really easy to get this one framed. So we received the pattern, and then we also received the kit. So it comes with fabric, a needle, and then the overdyed and DMC floss to include. So that's, I didn't start any project at the retreat just because after my failed attempt at wellness and good, I wasn't going to start something at the retreat. So, especially something big. So I'll start this one soon. Um, yeah. She also gave us, so that's what was on our tables after breakfast. And then after lunch, we had, it's upside down, a second smaller pattern called Sweet Charlotte. And this is a different antique sampler. And so the antique had a lot of embroidery, but she changed it so that way it is all cross stitch. So all of this is cross stitch. And then she did satin stitches for the petals in the white. And so she explained to us how we would go about doing satin stitches so that way it would appear in the same way. And that entire center is colonial knots. I'm not sure about the knots. I will say that the model that was there was super cool, so they need to be done. I know that colonial knots are easier than French knots, but I still have problems with it. So I'll just have to suck it up and try to do it. So it came with the DMCs and a piece of linen, and the marker is to help us with the embroidery on the front. So this is a real sweet small. So need to start that one soon too. So many starts. Anyways, so that was Thursday, and then that was Friday. Teresa was on Friday, and then on Saturday, we had Paulette Stewart from Plum Street Samplers, and all of the projects were inside this little tote bag that says Plum Street Samplers. So the large sampler that we were gifted is called the American Manor. And what's really cool about this is that it is poppies, and so the border is all poppies, and the leaves may look like holly leaves, but poppy leaves are very deep sinuses, so it's very almost. Anyways, getting a little too deep into plant morphology. Anyways, this is a great representation of the leaves, and so there's a great house and beautiful trees and an eagle. So that's the sampler that we were given, and we were given the linen to do that piece, and the floss. So we also received a special pattern called the Mini Manor roll, and so it's a much smaller red house, but it still includes all of those red poppies. And we were also given a key fob, not key, or bag tag, or anyways. So it's a picture of the sampler. So there we are. Now it's got less glare. So that's an additional gift we were given. When I moved those materials, I found, along with the pattern, Samplers Not Forgotten also gave us a pair of scissors from the Scissors. So you can see that it came in this really cool leather pouch, and so we got a piece of, let's see, I'll use this. So you can see that a really cool pair of scissors. So it was an amazing gift. So thank you, Kimberly. I mean, they're an amazing pair of scissors. I used them a little bit at the retreat. So thank you. All right. So those are all of the projects that we received, and now I will show you my haul. All right, so haul. I went with the intentions of not going crazy. I don't. I've got linen that I purchased last year and linen I purchased 2 years ago that I haven't used yet, but um, I still use some parts of it. So I did buy some linen, some fabrics, some patterns. So here we go. The first thing we did was, I have no reason to be buying more charts, but I recently saw this on Flosstube. I forget who had it, but it's like, well, maybe I'll need to start this. This might be my Christmas start for this year. I always do a Blackbird Designs at Christmas time, so Merrily Merrily We Welcome Spring by Blackbird Designs might be the chart that I start. So I was waiting in line. It was there, so I just went ahead and picked it up. That's the only chart I purchased. For linen, I bought that piece of Hometown Fibers branches that I'm using for Goodness and Mercy. But I also saw a piece of cedar fiber, or sorry, let's see. Yeah, Cedar River Fabrics Arboreal. And so it's a beautiful piece of green. And I sat there for a long time saying, I don't need to be purchasing this because I don't know what I'll use it on. And somebody's like, well, just, you may find a Christmas piece or something else. And I think I figured out how I'm going to use it. I just need to find the perfect pattern for that arboreal. So that's going to be a fall start. So that's arboreal. We also had a pop-up shop from Dames of the Needle and from Needle and Flax, and I just got caught up. I just got caught up in the craziness. So I got a piece of Alcott and a piece of Sleeping Bear, a piece of Dolly Madison, and these are fat quarters, a piece of Hemingway, and a piece of Gallows Hill. So what I did was I tried to buy a range a range of colors. So the top is a lighter, and then a pinker, and then a yellow. So it's just, at least that's how I explained it to myself, that I needed to buy all that linen. Um, the next thing that I bought was they have remnants, so or fat quarters of various fabrics. So there's a big a range of fabrics there. When I was picking them out, I said that every year I buy a small stack of these fat quarters of fabric, thinking that I will use them like on the back of pillows or for needle books or for various smalls. And then I stitch 0 smalls during the year, so need I don't need fabric to frame a large piece. So I don't know why I keep buying all of these little fat quarters, but they're just pretty. So I'll use them in some way. So, oh well. I also bought, every year I go there. So Country Sampler sells not only cross stitch, but they also sell quilting and home decoration. The home decoration is not my style, but the quilts, every time I go there, I think I'm going to become a quilter. And once again, I had a quilt kit in my hands, and I carried it around for like 15 minutes. And the quilt kit was for garden tiles, but I chickened out. I only bought I only bought the pattern just because what I want to do is I want to just practice doing some quilting. And so I did buy some blue and gray fabrics. So this is these are the blue and gray fabrics that I purchased. So um, yeah, so I'm gonna practice my piecing skills, and like I have up to now, I'm gonna piece something together, and then I'm gonna make a project bag. So uh, I don't know why. Um, I've got more project bags than I do works in progresses, but I enjoy my piecing practice. So so that's going to be uh, some a new bag that will be coming up. So that's it. That's all of my purchases from the Country Sampler. It was great to see everybody. I would encourage folks to come to next year. Uh, the Country Sampler is an amazing store. I mean, we've all seen pictures of it, but for me, it's going home. So it's just always wonderful. Northwest Illinois, southwest Wisconsin is what's called the driftless zone. So they missed out on the last ice age. And so it's rolling hills. This time of the year, everything is leafed out. It's got that beautiful light to medium green trees and the hills, and the corn has closed its rows, so all the fields are green. So it's just a wonderful time to go to Wisconsin. So you got the store, you've got a beautiful location, and more importantly, it's just amazing people. I've been going for a few years now, and this is the one time of the year that we really get to see each other and catch up. So thank you, Jeannie Horton, the crew at the Country Sampler, and all of my friends at Summer Stitch Camp. Looking forward to next year. So that's the end of this video, and so to everybody, thanks for coming.